Hi, my name is Tyler Foley. I'm the author of The Power to Speak Naked. And in my episode for the Business Growth Architect Show, I will be discussing how to find your story, get your message out there, and more specifically, how to use being a guest on a podcast to massively grow your influence, naturally grow your search engine optimization to your website, to your product, to your promotion, to your page, to your business. Make sure that you are seen as the authority in your space without costing you a single cent. So if that sounds like it's something you'd be interested in, I would love for you to hop on and listen to what me and Beata have to say on this week's episode of the Business Growth Architect Show.
Hello, fabulous person. Beata Shillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. Hello, everyone. This is Beata Shillette, your host for the Business Growth Architect Show. And today it is a special treat because we got Tyler Foley on with us. And Tyler and I, we have been in a mastermind together. We've had the pleasure of doing some work together. And he is not just a great guy, he's knowledgeable. And I know one thing about you, Tyler, you're here to share. So welcome to the show.
Oh, yeah, this is a joy and a pleasure. I've had this circled for a couple of weeks now. I've been looking forward to just getting to be on your show for one, get to reconnect, get to chat. I love when you and I get to connect. It brings me joy.
Excellent. I love it. So for those people who shockingly gasp, don't know who you are, why don't you tell them who you are, what you do, and why should they know about you?
I am Tyler Foley, professionally known as Sean Tyler Foley. I am a father, a husband, a son, author of the #1 bestselling book, The Power to Speak Naked, performer, former child actor, lover of warm beaches, enjoyer of fine chocolates, and purveyor of all things Lego. And that is who I am in a nutshell.
I love that. That was probably one of the more unusual introductions that we have. So now you just said, did you say speaking naked?
Speaking naked. Speaking naked.
No, I have to ask for the audience, what's that even mean?
Oh, that's a really good question. So the Power to Speak Naked actually came about when me and my team were brainstorming the title for the book. And it's a book on public speaking and advice and how to overcome the stage fright and give a more engaging, more powerful presentation. And so I'd asked my team, what was some advice that you got as a public speaker? Maybe we could generate some titles that way. And one of my team members said, you picture your audience naked. And I went off on this tirade about how that is the worst thing you could do. It is the
horrible.
Absolute.
I mean, who does that?
Worst advice. It is.
Yeah.
It's at the minimalist. It's masochistic and treating your audience in poor regard. And your audience is a sacred gift, and so you want to hold them in reverence. And that
Not naked.
And not only that, but it's such a waste of brain power to go through this thought exercise, and then it's just mean too. I think the idea is to somehow gain comfort and power over somebody else's discomfort and lack thereof. And that to me, again, is counterintuitive to what you want to do to serve your audience. So I go off on this tirade and I said, I would rather give somebody the power to speak naked than to tell somebody to picture their audience naked. And everybody said, say that again. What was that? I'm like, they need to have the power to speak naked. I was like, no, the power to speak naked. That was that. And then as we started to explore the title, on its surface level, I genuinely want to empower people to feel so confident in their messaging, so confident in their story, so confident in themselves that they could literally take the stage in the Emperor's New Clothes and it wouldn't matter because they wouldn't care and their audience wouldn't even notice because they would be so compelling and so engaging that nobody would even look or notice. And that's, a little bit altruistic, but it's kind of, the goal. The next level to that is part of being able to do that is being able to give a naked presentation. And that is a raw presentation, a presentation that has been stripped down to the bare basics of communication. So you don't need a PA, you don't need a PowerPoint, you don't need a stage. right? You need an audience, and an audience is more than one person. You have two people in front of you, you can give a presentation. You have an audience. And that's all you need. You need your message, and people to give that and share it too. And so, the power to just give a naked, raw presentation, speak naked. And then at its root level, in order to do that, we need to have confidence in ourselves. And a lot of that has to do with being vulnerable and able to expose the raw, naked truth. The bit that a lot of times we try to guard to keep people from knowing is often the best way to invite people in and to have them learn and have an experience with you. So to speak your raw, naked truth and have the power to speak it confidently is ultimately why I've put the book together. And so for all of those reasons, we want to give people the power to speak naked.
So there's a couple of things I want to really point out, because you said so much. I think, and being German and coming from sort of the land of perfectionism, I think there's a huge misconception, Tyler, where people think that you have to hide your imperfections. You have to hide your vulnerabilities. I remember when I first started telling my story about, selling my business to Bill Gates, you only want to talk about the story of the selling the part to Bill Gates, but nobody cares. Everybody wants to hear about these vulnerable pieces of the nakedness of what was it like to kind of get there. So I want to make sure that our listener really pays close attention to this nugget you just dropped, is that it is, in your experience as a professional speaker, and we're going to dive into this because this leads us now to our strategy piece, that when you do show up to talk about what you do, that you have this in the back of your head. Be vulnerable, be naked, allow yourself to be exposed, because that is what creates that with the audience.
Yeah. And if your audience wants just a simple way to remember that, they can write this down, that the thing you're afraid to say is probably what your audience needs to hear. And I have found that to be a golden rule and universally truthful over the last 36, 37 years of public speaking and performance. I even think to the times where if I'm not saying my own words, I'm still saying somebody else's words in the form of a script.
Say
and
that
often,
which you so what you are afraid to say.
The thing you're afraid to say is what your audience needs to hear.
That's a truth bomb right there. So now let's take this to strategy. So obviously you built a lot of strategy around these pieces. So what is strategy for you? How do you use it in this realm of speaking, helping people to speak, helping people to get their message out? So what is strategy for you?
Well, first of all, is recognizing that everybody has a story, right? And that I've had the pleasure to work with Les Brown. And one of the things that he taught me was that you never tell a point without a story. You never make a point without a story, and you never tell a story without a point. And there needs to be reason for using the references that you're using. But the more personal you make it, and this is something that I learned from Bo Eason, the more personal and the more specific you make, the more universal it will speak to your audience. And so for me, one of the first strategies that I use, not only for myself, but when I'm instructing my clients, is to get them to pull out, first of all, what are their stories? Because I work with so many people who have done such incredible, amazing things, sell their business to Bill Gates, and yet they will still say, I don't have a story. You're like, how do you not have a story? Oh, I just did this thing and I did this once and it was
I just worked hard. I put a few things together and
right.
Voila, door and then knock on the door. Yeah.
It wasn't me. Like, that's the other thing that I hear a lot of times. Well, it wasn't me. I'm like, really? Because you were there the whole time. Like, so how was it?
Without you, this wouldn't have happened.
So one of the first strategies that I teach people, and it's actually really simple. We can do it in 2 minutes and your audience can follow along. They've already taken out a pencil and piece of paper because I know that they all ran and wrote down that the thing you're afraid to say is what your audience needs to hear.
Of course,
so now
they did.
Just they
pulled over while they were driving.
They pulled over while they were driving. So, or they can just dictate. And they're going to listen back to this. So,
hey Siri, yes.
Hey Siri, make a note. What I would like everybody to do right now is to take your age, whatever age you are, and round to the nearest 5. So you're either rounding down or rounding up, but just to the nearest 5. And then take that number and divide it by 5. What you will get is 5 equal time periods in your life. For me, if I was to do this, I'm 42, about to turn 43. So as a 42-year-old, I get to round down to 40 and divide my life into 5 equal time periods of 8. In 2 weeks, I will have to round up to 45 and divide my time into equal time periods of 9. Either way, you're going to get even time periods or epochs in your life. So for me right now, the first one is 0 to 8. And then for each one of these time periods, and you only get 10 to 15 seconds tops, because this needs to be the first thing that pops to your mind instantaneously, the thing that clicks into your cerebrum and it pops. What is the most significant memory you have from that time period? Now, it could be a vivid image. It could be a circumstance. It could be a color. It could be a smell. It could be a sound. Whatever that happens to be, I want you to look at each one of those time periods. For me, the first one, 0 to 8, and then 9 to 16. What is the memory for that time period? And you should go through these 5 time periods and just say, what is the most significant memory from this time period? And write them down. That exercise shouldn't take more than 2 minutes, because it's a little bit of math and then 10 seconds of, okay, when I look at this, what's the thing and it has to be the first one that pops to your mind, because that's the one that had the most impact on you. And if it had impact on you, that is the one that will likely have impact with your audience. And now this is where the exercise that we can't do in 2 minutes begins. It's that exploration of why. First of all, why are those memories significant to you? Write them down. What did it mean? Who were you? What did you need to know? What did you know? What did you learn? What can others learn from this? All of these are those lessons to explore. Why was it significant to you? And be specific on the details, right? You need to say, this impacted me this way. This is how I felt. It's one thing for me to come on here and say that I, was a child actor. Well, of course he's good at public speaking. He's been speaking on stage since he was 6 years old. It's another thing to say that I was on stage because my father passed away and I almost silenced my voice, not wanting to speak again. It's another thing for me to say that I was blessed to have been on stage at 6 years old and to have the opportunity to find my voice, so that I wasn't afraid of the stage, that I grew up loving it, but that I have experienced stage fright. They don't need the perfect polished me. They need to know how I became here. And so the next implementable strategy here is, when we're looking at starting to tell these stories, the biggest mistake that I see amateurs and professionals alike make is that when they're telling their story, using the hero's journey model, they are telling the story from the standpoint that they are the hero, and they're not. In this hero's journey model that Joseph Campbell made famous, you have a hero who is unaware. They're in a state of just stasis. And then crisis happens that sends them into chaos, at which point they have to cross the threshold and then meet the mentor or sage who guides them through a series of trials and tribulations before they overcome their final adversity and then take their journey home. And what a lot of people start to do is they try to be Luke Skywalker or Harry Potter in that scenario. And you're not. You're Obi-Wan Kenobi or Dumbledore, right? You are the person who shows this new hero how to conquer their demons. And if you can reframe it that way, you'd be amazed at how quickly people want to listen to you, because you can say, I have been here. These are the struggles that I had, right? What makes Obi-Wan Kenobi so compelling to Luke Skywalker is that he has fought and worked alongside his father and failed him as a Jedi. He was supposed to mentor him and he failed him. And Anakin Skywalker turned to the dark side and became Darth Vader. That's significant, for Obi-Wan to then say that to Luke. I knew your father. I fought with him in the Clone Wars. and to then be able to guide and mentor this other one through so that he doesn't make the same mistakes that he made and that these other people made. That's, this is what I learned from my stories. These are my stories that I've learned. And one of the things to do when you do that story model, when you pick out your 5 stories, is start to ask yourself, what is the theme? How is this connected? What can I learn from? What did I learn from these? What can I learn from these? What can my audience learn from these? Again, to Les's point, you never tell a story without a point, and you never make a point without a story. So as you bring these stories forward, make sure that there is a clear, understandable, relatable, and actionable point within it, and you'll succeed glowingly as a public speaker.
The hero's journey that obviously I'm using all wrong, and that I need to stop teaching my clients that model of the hero's journey, because it is a narcissistic way of look at me on how great I am. I'm bumbling through life and then I'm succeeding, versus a magnificent teaching point that I can share from my perspective as I bring people onto my journey. You won't believe what happened. Can you relate? Am I getting this right?
Yeah. So you want to be right. Gandalf shows up to Bilbo Baggins' door and says, come on an adventure with me. Bilbo learns along the way, but Gandalf is always there to protect him. The wizard's story is still fascinating, and you get snippets of it. Like, you want to be sharing. You want people to know that you've been on these journeys, multiple journeys. You've traveled all of these lands multiple times, many ways, had many adventures, met many people. But you want to take them on this specific adventure. You want to get them through the path to the Misty Mountains. You want to get them so that they can find the dragon hoard of treasure and bring some back to the Shire with them. And that you are a trusted guide.
Yes.
To do that.
So powerful. And so, as if this wasn't enough already, we're going to take it a step further, because I happen to know one of your favorite strategies. And it is how to use this method of speaking and telling your story on podcasts, specifically podcast guesting. So tell us about that strategy.
Well, one of the things that I get a lot of feedback on from a lot of hosts is, you're such a good guest. Like, it was so easy to talk to you, right? I didn't have to fish stuff out of you. And one of the reasons it's easy is because I'm just relating my own experiences. I'm relating my own stories, but I know what my stories are. And I have my nice little tool chest of stories to use. So when somebody asks, I'm able to do it. And then there's no fishing. That's the other thing. I'm not having to create my own content, or I'm not having to remember somebody else's content. I can just speak from my heart. And so although I use the same stories often, it's never told the same way twice. And I think that keeps your audience engaged, that keeps your host engaged, that keeps you engaged. Like, it makes it fresh. I was on over 300 podcasts last year, and I still get excited to come on them because it's not mundane for me, and it's not routine. And it's not mundane or routine because I'm not doing anything scripted, right? I'm not handing you a thing and say, these are my talking points, and you have to say these things here.
Oh, don't even get me started, Tyler. When I get a guest and they say, well, here are the 10 questions, I'm like, you're not a fit for the show. I don't want to regurgitate what has already been done before. I want to have an actual conversation with you about something that I'm interested in, that the audience wants to hear. So you show up and you're fully prepared with having your stories and your examples and your points that you want to make ready to go. Yeah. But wait, there still is more, because our listener can learn this from you, because you don't just do this because you love being on podcasts. Let me guess, it is a business strategy. Tell us about that.
Right now, it is not only a business strategy, it is my number one business strategy. It is the thing that over the last 18 months has proven time and time again to have the best ROI. And here's why. The investment on me being a guest on somebody's podcast is literally my time. 20 minutes to sometimes 2 hours. But the return on that, so all it is a time investment. I have to put no capital into that. Somebody else is recording it, editing it, producing it, promoting it out to their network. I obviously am going to promote every episode that I record out to my network, but my network knows me. So unlike, I'm not having to, first of all, create new content for my network. I just like, hey, this is the new show. Have a listen. Hey, this is a new show. And they can listen and they learn more things about me the more shows I'm on. But here's the best part of it. Not only is somebody else creating content for me, keeping my social media active beyond anything I could have ever done on my own, just by me resharing the stuff that they're putting out for me. I'm discovering new stories myself with the interviews. And from a business strategy standpoint, in the last year, my website has organic, natural backlinks from over 300 individual websites, all being promoted on the 4 major hosting platforms, because where are podcasts held? They're on Apple, Amazon, YouTube, and Spotify. And YouTube is with Google, and Google is its own platform too. So you have basically the entire alphabet that's being traded on the NASDAQ is pushing and promoting and backlinking your things. So when you do an internet search, I did nothing for paid SEO in the last 18 months. And if somebody was to do an internet search for my name right now, whether they want to do Tyler Foley or they want to do the full professional Sean Tyler Foley, do it right now. If you think I'm full of it, I have done, you can tell because there's nothing paid. It's not an ad one. It's nothing. I did nothing to pay for SEO. In fact, you can go and look on my website and see just how bad my website is. I'm actually getting trouble from my web designer right now because we're not actually taking full advantage of the amount of traffic that's coming based on the organic search hits that we get because I'm so SEO optimized without doing anything because of all the backlinks from everybody else's shows that are on all of the major players. And so all of a sudden, Tyler Foley. I have over 100 hits on YouTube. My own YouTube channel only has about 20 or 24 videos. And I think the highest watched one has like 100 views. But you search me in YouTube and everywhere. I have over 1 million views on YouTube, over 120 or 130 videos, and you put in my name and I just take it. Boom. And I did nothing for that. You want to talk about a business strategy? I am not taking full advantage of it. And I'm, you and I were talking offline. I'm selling 20 to 30 books a day. So if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner with a self-published book, and you are struggling to get it out, you're like, I was told to write this book as a business strategy. And now I have this book and now I have all of these cartons of books and I don't know what to do with them or how to move them or how to get them out there. Go on a podcast and then go on a lot more. And you'd be surprised at how quickly you can turn that over. Because I tell everybody at the end of the episode, come on by to the website, and grab a book or go to Barnes & Noble or do whatever you want to do.
Which, of course, we will be doing right now, just right after this. So I want to sum this up so that our listeners are really clear about this. So what we've done today is we've shared with you that when it comes to speaking is a very powerful strategy for business. On whether you have a brick and mortar store, you're an electrician, you are a coach, consultant. I mean, literally, anybody with a message or with a business needs to use speaking in some sort of shape and format to get the message out. If it's a networking opportunity or one of those, smaller things where you hang out, you still need to speak, you still need to present, you still need to tell your story. So we talked about that. Then you shared that you are going to turn this thing upside down in how you tell the story of the hero's journey as a tag along, experiencing it with you. You shared the truth bomb, that which you're afraid to say is what your audience must hear. And then you said that the podcast guesting is not just a strategy, but your main and only business strategy It's gotten you SEO, search results preferences. Google loves you because they pay preferences to themselves with their wholly owned YouTube channel. And this is how you've really stepped it up in not even that long of a time period. If I see this right, have I recapped this properly?
Wonderfully recapped. And to add to it, the opportunity for speaking is endless. It's why we created the Endless Stages group, because I believe that obviously this podcasting strategy is the one that I believe the most in, but from it spins out all those other opportunities, the networking events, the big stages, when corporations are searching for somebody who's speaking on your topic. And like you said, whether you're an electrician, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a lawyer, they want that social proof. And if you have been the expert on 20,
Hundreds.
50, 100, 200, 300, 500 podcasts, that also spins into so all of those podcast things have become the social proof that I needed to really convince not just local radio and TV, but national and international radio and TV to have me on their programs as an expert. Because now they can see, first of all, they can see me on video, right? Almost all of these podcasts are not just audio anymore because they're taking the video and putting it up on YouTube. So at least half of the podcasts that I've been on have a video component to it. And now my reel is, it's hard for me to actually edit my reel now. I used to have to struggle, right? Because I'd have bad grainy footage from the back of the room that somebody took on a cell phone for me.
From the 500 feet away.
Yeah, from the tech booth, because the tech guy was running a recording for me, and I couldn't get the really good video because it's from where the audience is sitting, and there's an audience there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've never had good video of me speaking on stage, but now I have all of this incredible content in a video and audio format. And I remember, people, I didn't pay a thing for it. I am not investing my own money. And as an entrepreneur, as a self-employed entity, as a businessman, if I can get value for just having to show up and do my time without having to invest my financial capital, that is incredible to me. I can't stress it enough. Other people are promoting you and you aren't paying for it.
OPM, other people's money.
Other people's money. And for me, it's actually, you were right, OPP, other people's platforms.
Yes,
I'm using other people's platforms to promote myself, and it's great.
The strategy is called borrowing other people's audiences, which I myself love a lot. And so, Tyler, now tell us, where do we get the book?
Well, so the best way to get the book for your listeners in the United States, this is only for US listeners, I would encourage you to go to bookshop.org. And here is why. Bookshop.org has all of the advantages of shopping from Jeff Bezos' site, in that it is an online shopping experience and the book will come directly to your door, so you don't have to go out in public. The only difference is it won't come to your door in a drone, and bookshop.org isn't sending people to space in a phallic-shaped rocket. That said, what bookshop.org is doing is connecting you with your local book retailer, your mom and pop shop. So when you are ordering that book online, you are getting it from the local bookstore down the street, as opposed to some warehouse somewhere in the world. And on top of that, it's your local bookstore who's probably struggling, your mom and pop shop who needs it. So you're supporting locally, still having the advantage of being able to shop online. And every sale, a percentage of your proceed of the sale goes to a pooled fund that bookshop.org then makes available to all local book retailers that they can apply to for financial aid. And currently they've raised over $20 million for local booksellers. And bonus to you, you can buy my book on Jeff's site, and it will cost you $17.95 US. Or you can order it from bookshop.org, and it'll cost you about $16.50. So not only is it more economical to shop through bookshop.org, you're doing social good, you are having a lower carbon footprint because you're shopping locally, you're supporting locally, you're still getting the convenience of online, you're saving money, and bookshop.org is saving bookstores across the nation. So that works great if you're in the United States. Unfortunately, it doesn't work anywhere else in the world. So for your international listeners, Beata, I would say go to your local book retailer and ask them. My publisher, Morgan James, has done a really good job of making sure that they're available in bookstores or that they can be ordered into bookstores. Worst case scenario, you can go to Jeff's site, you can order it there, or you can come over to my website, and that is SeanTylerFoley.com. If they click on our invitation to join our free Endless Stages Facebook group, we do send them a free PDF download of the book. So it's not the hardcover book, but at least you can read it for free. And if you want the hardcover book, then you can go to your local bookstore and say, hey, I got this PDF and I'd really like to have the hardcover.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, honestly, because I know you, I probably would get the hardcover because you do need to take a pen and highlighter, and you do need to make notes and circle. I mean, I'm just being practical here, right? And so where can we find out about all the other stuff you do? You mentioned that you have a program, you help people to do this.
Yeah, so they can check the show notes. And you know what? If they're going to check the show notes, Beata, they're already listening to the show. They're going to have to hit pause on this right now anyway. So while they're hitting pause, before they go over to any of my websites or check out any of my stuff, they're already listening to your stuff. So if they could do me a favor and give you a 5-star review and say what episode they enjoyed, what is some value that they have gotten from listening to you so that you can better tailor your guests and your content to serve them better. If they could give you a 5-star review, then they can hop over to the show notes and check out all of the stuff that you and I have shared together. They can come over to my main website, SeanTylerFoley.com, and Sean is spelled the proper Irish way, SeanTylerFoley.com. The proper Irish way. So
don't you forget it.
Don't forget it. So if you come to SeanTylerFoley.com, you can learn all about that, including our Podcast Mastery Challenge, which is not to host a podcast, but to be guests on podcasts and learn all the strategies that I've been using over the last 18 months to be the number 1 ranked guest on Podmatch, to be on over 300 shows in the last year, and to skyrocket my SEO, search engine optimization, organically without having to do anything, and increase the sales of my book. So I'm, like I said, I'm selling anywhere from 20 to 50 copies of my book a week. And that is all organic advertising through the use of podcasts. So if anybody wants to hop on that challenge, it's a free 3-day challenge. I give away everything. I'm one of those people who I'm going to give it all to you for free. And if you like what you see, then you can figure out ways to work with me one-on-one. But I want to make sure that everybody walks away served. And the best way that I know to do that is to just download my knowledge.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that. You've been an amazing guest. I appreciate you very, very much. I know you and I will have more conversations about this. So thank you for being here, Tyler. It's been amazing as always.
Thank you, Beata.
And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beata Gillette, the Growth Architect, and goodbye.